Hello, today we're here to talk about the books that I read in the month of November. So I read altogether 8 books, 3 of them were audiobooks and 1 was a DNF. So let's get started. I did vlog in the month of November, so if you want to have a look, the videos are on my channel and I'll try to link them down below if I remember. So let's get started and talk about them in the order that I read them in. So the very first book I finished in the month of November was a disappointment. Might be a really unpopular opinion, but it's my opinion. It is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. I absolutely do love the cover. I started this book in October, but had to carry it over into November. So this book is set in this small town called Dream Harbour, and it follows our main character called Jeannie, whose aunt gives her the Pumpkin Spice Cafe to run, and Jeannie quits her job to run the cafe. And there's also a really gorgeous farmer called Logan. Do I need to tell you more? It's a romance book. I gave this book 2.5 stars. I did talk about it more in the vlog, but to basically summarize it, I felt like the first half was a 4-star book. I was really enjoying it. It was really cute. It was really cute vibes. I love the cozy Gilmore Girls vibes about the book. And I like the main character. I like Logan. I like the little awkward first encounters, and just everything about it was quite easy to read. It was so cozy and fluffy. It was making me feel happy. Second half went really downhill for me. So second half, if I could rate it separately, would have been a 2-star. It's not great, I don't think. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I have a sequel to this book already. So I bought that one as I was halfway through this book thinking I'm really enjoying it. Turns out I didn't. Now I'm really not sure if I want to read the sequel, but I guess I'll get to it at some point. But anyway, I gave it, did I say I gave it 2.5 stars? Yes, I did. So the second half, I got really annoyed by Logan quite a bit. He was supposed to be in his late 20s, I'm pretty sure, maybe early 30s, I can't quite remember. But anyway, he was acting like a sulky, stroppy teenager. And the way he treated her in some ways, the way he reacted to some things she did or said, really annoyed me. Plus also the fact that he's so hung up on his ex-girlfriend to the point that he kept bringing her up every single time he was thinking about Jeannie. Really put me off. So, and also I felt like the plot was a little bit surface level. I know you don't read these books for the plot because it's romance and that's why you would read them, but still I feel like for me personally to enjoy a romance it needs to have a little bit more of a plot, and the drama that was in the book, which in the relationship, was so surface level and so pathetic that I thought this is just absolutely pointless, and it really ruined it for me. There were quite a few spicy scenes, and I'm sort of new to this whole spicy thing. It's not my favourite thing about books, and I still think I don't enjoy it all that much. I mean, I'm not too against it, but if it's just the main focus on the book, then I don't think that's for me. But that wasn't even the problem, so that didn't even add to the 2.5 rating. Everything else I just said about it, that's what made up a 2.5 rating, unfortunately. So I'm getting more into romance, but this type of romance, not really. I think I prefer like cozy, cute, fluffy ones rather than spicy ones. That's what I need to try. My next one was a DNF, unfortunately, and that is A House of Ghosts by W.C. Ryan. On the surface, it sounds like something I'd absolutely enjoy because it is set in the past. It is set in a house where they are doing a seance, so like a gothic sort of setting, and obviously it's related to ghosts. And all of these guests, I think one of them will end up dead. All of that sounds absolutely amazing, sounds really good. But I DNF'd it pretty early on because I just wasn't enjoying it. I was finding it extremely boring, and I can't remember why else, but I think I DNF'd to like page 30 something. And then I read reviews in Goodreads, and all of them basically said that it's not actually that creepy, and it's supposed to be unbearably creepy and beautifully written, Not so sure about beautifully written, not so sure about creepy. I didn't feel either of those things. And apparently the murder and the ghosts, the murder happens apparently very much later in the book, so the fact that it's put on the blurb is kind of a spoiler, I suppose, and it should have come up much sooner. But also the fact that there are ghosts, they don't really come into the story all that much. So when you call a book A House of Ghosts and the ghosts are not really that relevant and apparently not that present in the story, what's the point in this? If I want to read a ghost story, because that's what I expected from this book, the title, duh, that's not what I got from this book. I mean, I haven't finished it, but like I said, reading reviews, I just didn't want to finish the book. I didn't want to read it anymore. I was not interested. I was bored. I didn't like the main characters, and I just gave up and moved on. My next book was an audiobook, and that was Latte Trouble, which is the third book in the Coffee House Mystery series by Cleo Coyle, and I listened to the first two books quite a while ago. I'm pretty sure it was last year, and they are sort of like cute, cozy mysteries. I rated this one 3 stars, just like the other two as well. Now I'm not continuing with the series because they are, like I said, they're just like 3 stars for me. I enjoy them whilst I'm reading to them, but it's nothing special, nothing outstanding, nothing that engaging. So the first book in the series is following this character whose name I can't remember, and she owns this coffee shop, and there seems to be a murder happening pretty much in every single book of them, at least so far. And there's a little bit of romance between her and the detective constable, pretty sure that's his title in the books, who is dealing with the murders and the stuff. So it sounds really cute, and it is cute. There's a lot of talk about coffee in all of the books, and like different even recipes, different facts about coffee, how to make it better roast, how to make a good cup of coffee, and different facts. That was interesting to me because I love coffee. I am a big coffee drinker, absolutely love it. Have quite a few cups of coffee per day, which is probably not good, but anyway, the books themselves, they're interesting, but nothing above a 3-star for me. Like, I enjoy how the story evolves. I enjoy the relationships between her and, like I said, the police officer. There's also an ex-husband involved, and her relationship with her daughter as well. It's all really like nice, and I just don't think, I'm starting to think that cozy mystery is not my genre. I haven't found a cozy mystery that would have given more than 3 stars. I've got a few, not too many on my TBR, because now I know that they're not my thing really, unless I find one that I really enjoy. I don't know, I don't like, I guess, the fact when there's amateur detectives, if you wish, when somebody who's not like in the police solves murders and whatnot. It's sometimes it's done well, sometimes it's done in a way that I feel like absolutely ridiculous, and I don't like it. So, but this one was fine. This one wasn't that problem. It wasn't ridiculous how she wasn't even the one to solve the murders. She was just involved in it one way or another. So she was sort of kind of doing her own investigation, but not officially, just finding things out, what's happened, talking to different people, not as part of an investigation, but because basically she was nosy. And then somehow it's all tied up to her sometimes finding out about a murder. I'm talking about the series in general as a wrap up of the series of the 3 books that I've read. There are plenty more in the series, but like I said, I'm not continuing with them. So those are my thoughts on that. My next read was another audiobook, and that was The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I gave that book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. So the plot of this book, we've got this main character who used to be, I think she was a famous actress, or is a famous actress, but she just goes to this house to live there for a little while because she's had like bad press, something's happened, and now she's sort of in hiding type of thing. So she's in a remote location. She doesn't have anything to do. She doesn't really have any hobbies, so she's sat there like drinking quite a lot every day, and she's got a pair of binoculars that she finds there, and she just starts looking around and sees that there's a house the opposite of her house, and she sort of kind of starts spying on the people, and the house belongs to this married couple. But the more she watches them, the more she realizes that things might not be quite as bright and lovely as they seem to be. That's all I'm going to say about the plot. I really enjoyed it. It's a dual timeline as well, I think. Yes, it's dual timeline, and I enjoy those types of books. So there's the now and the past. I liked the atmosphere. I liked the mystery. It was just something about it just kept being really engaging to me, and I just enjoyed it. I feel like I can't remember many details. That's why I enjoy doing vlogs recently, because a lot more thoughts are in the vlogs, and as I'm reading the book I can talk more about it afterwards, a few days later or weeks later. I can't remember much about what I've read, which is, I know, probably doesn't sound like a good thing, but it is what it is. I gave it 4 stars, had a good time with it, and it was a good mystery, so enjoyed it. Next one I read was One by One by Frida McFadden, which is my 4th book by the author, by the way. I gave this book 4 stars. Again, I really loved the atmosphere. She's definitely one of my favourite authors now. I just buy every book by her. And this book, we follow these few couples that go to this vacation remote place every year, and they're going again. But as they go there, the van that they're in breaks down in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, and they have to walk all the way to this hotel, I think is where they were staying, and they get lost, and all of them one by one just seem to be disappearing or ending up dead, and it's starting to become clear that only one of them will come home alive. That's all I'm gonna say. Again, as usual with Frida McFadden, it was full of twists and turns, and the creepy atmosphere actually in this book, because it was set in the forest, completely in a remote location, there were some things that at first weren't explained. Obviously later on you get an explanation, but because of it, it made for quite a creepy atmosphere, which I really enjoyed. And I also love the fact that all of her characters are always flawed. They are real people, they are not perfect in any way whatsoever, but that's why they're fascinating. They all have secrets, they all have different past and everything. It's just interesting to watch their lives as well. And again, like I said, it was really, I'm not sure if it was like fast paced. I didn't have any problem with the pacing at all, but twists and turns everywhere, great atmosphere, great plot, great characters. Enjoyed it quite a bit. Don't think I have any much else to say, just enjoyed it a lot. My next book was a TBR jar pick, and it was Shadow and Bone, Sorry for the Reflection by Leigh Bardugo, which is the first book in the series, and I'm pretty sure I'm the last person on the planet to read these books. But I had a good time. This book really surprised me. I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I would. Like, I fully expected to maybe even DNF it or give it 3 stars, because they're quite old now and it's like YA sort of generic fantasy at this point, but I really enjoyed it. I actually gave it 4 stars. So to summarize the plot, we've got our main character called Alina, and she's a soldier. At one point she and her group, I guess, gets attacked by these creatures, and she unleashes the magic that she didn't know she had. And now she is going to this like royal palace almost, to live life of luxury, learning magic, and just discovering basically a brand new world for herself, and discovering herself as well. We have the Darkling there as well, who's like a higher up person there, which is an intriguing character, and she's intrigued by him. But also there's like the Shadow Fold that is, I don't quite know how to explain it, but it's basically they're trying to fight it, and the Darkling hopes that Alina will be the one to fix it, the one to save the day, essentially. I really had a good time with it. It was so easy to read. I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the plot. I didn't find it like generic or anything. I didn't find it boring at all. It's a lighter fantasy, it's not high stakes or anything like that, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I do want to continue on with the series, and good job, because I've already got the 2nd and 3rd books in the series ready to go whenever I fancy it, or whenever my TBR jar picks up again, because I'm enjoying using my TBR jar recently. So yeah, I don't really have anything to say. It's just a nice, easy read with fantasy usually I kind of struggle because obviously opening a brand new world and all of the different worlds and different magic and even characters, all of that can be complicated and I get lost and get bored, quite frankly. But this was good for me. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the lightness of it, the characters, I enjoyed everything about it. So 4 stars. My camera managed to overheat, so but I've got 3 more books to talk about. So my next one was another audiobook, and that was Lock Every Door, again by Riley Sager. And this book follows our main character who gets a job that sounds too perfect to be true, essentially. So the job is to babysit the apartment, so you literally are paid to be in this posh, expensive apartment because it's sort of in between of being bought or something like that. It's the job for 3 months and she gets paid a lot of money for it. And she obviously accepts the job, and it's the Bartholomew Building, and it seems to be that it's only for like posh and what's the word, rich people. There she meets another apartment sitter called Ingrid, and they start to really get on really well. And Ingrid though tells her that there's some sort of dark past about the Bartholomew Building, but obviously our main character is like, no, that's not true, so she sort of brushes it off until the next day when Ingrid disappears. So as our main character starts to look into things, into the past of the Bartholomew Building, into Ingrid's disappearance, she's starting to uncover some different bits and bobs. I enjoyed this book. I did give it 4 stars, although I enjoyed it a little bit less than I enjoyed The House Across the Lake. It's, again, they're really quite similar in some way. All of them have, all of the books that I read by the author, they have dual timeline of now and the past, seems to be the thing. And I do enjoy the mystery. I enjoy how they are unraveling slowly. I enjoy the atmosphere, I enjoy the characters, I enjoy the creepy elements of it, because I know with their books by Riley Sager, it's always either paranormal, that is the main thing, or it's people, but it's not revealed until the very end, so obviously I'm not going to say anything. But it's kind of interesting to now, knowing that information, to see and like figure out whether it's going to be something paranormal or whether it's going to be something just human related. So I enjoyed that, but there was one element of the book that wasn't to my taste specifically. Luckily, it wasn't what quite I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a bigger thing in it, but it wasn't. It was, yeah, I think that would be a spoiler if I said anything. But anyway, I had a good time with it again, really enjoyed it, and gave it 4 stars. My next one was Before We Say Goodbye by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, which is the 4th book in the series, and this one was supposed to be my breaking point and decisive point of whether I was going to continue on with the series, and quite frankly, I still don't know if I want to. I know. But basically, I gave this one 3.5 stars, by the way, but in the first book, and in all of them really, there is this cafe in Japan where you can go back in the past, but there is plenty of rules, like you have to go back before the coffee gets cold, you only have to sit in one specific spot, you can't change the past, you can't change the present, so you just go there for a little bit of time and do whatever you need to do, and then you come back. The first book was really, really good. I feel like I've spoken about these books so many times. The first book was really good. I gave it 4 or 5 stars, I can't remember, but I cried. It was one of my favourite books of all time. Second book was also really good. Third one was a massive disappointment for me. I gave it 2 stars. This one I did give 3.5 stars, and I still don't know if I want to continue on with the series, because at this point it does make me feel like they're just there to make you cry, and to me kind of feels pointless, because I don't know how to explain it. I like when I cry in books, because then that means I'm emotionally involved and I'm interested in everything and it touches me and it's done well. But like I said, for some reason with this one and the previous one, it just feels pointless, because the stories that are described in these books are just there literally to make you cry, and to me that feels too fake, I suppose. So I guess not everyone would go back in the past to, well, I don't know. I was going to say not everyone would go back in the past to do something that they've either regretted or they wanted to see that one person one more time, or just to hear something from them and stuff like that. But then I guess you would go back in time to do just that. So most of the time it would be emotional. Do you see what I mean? I don't know, it just felt fake with these books. Although there was one specific story about an animal, I cried in that one, but then that's because animal stuff is my trigger. Anything animal related, I would most likely cry. So there is that. But yeah, still don't know if I want to continue with the series. I really don't know, because it started to go a little bit downhill for me. I feel like it would have been so much better as a standalone, but oh well. Camera's starting to overheat again, but I've got one last book to talk about very quickly, and that is Equinox by David Towsey. Again, that was a TBR jar that chose for me, and that's when I decided to choose, because I've got like 7 different TBRs now, by the way. I chose a random number generator to tell me from which TBR I was supposed to choose, and then I used a TBR jar for that TBR to choose which one I was supposed to read. And that was in my temporary saves, which is the books that I'm supposed to either read or get rid of by the end of May. Equinox is the book that I got from Box of Stories, and it is a fantasy book. I gave it 2 stars. So in this book we follow this main character whose name is Christopher with an O at the end, and he is the Night Brother. So in this world, basically most of the people, if not all of the people, have like Night Brother and Day Brother and like Night Sister, Day Sister, which is basically 2 different people but in the same body. Get the gist? So in this book, Christopher is a detective inspector. No, he's just an inspector for the police. It's set in the past, by the way, in 1700s. And he is one time called to prison because the new prisoner has this thing where he pulled his eyes out, and behind it he's got teeth growing. And now our inspector has to go and investigate what's happened, because he's, I forgot to say, he's a special inspector, which means he only deals with cases that involve magic. It sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds really like a good premise. Sounds original and everything, and yes, it is original. But oh my goodness, it was so boring. It was a 320-page book, a standalone. With this kind of premise, I expected it to be great. But it really wasn't. Like I said, it was really boring, and at one point there was a journey involved in the book. I just don't like journey stories when the main character like has to go on a quest somewhere. I find that extremely boring most of the time. There's not been a single book that I've enjoyed the journey bit of a story. This is starting to get on my nerves because my camera overheated yet again, but I was just trying to finish up talking about this book. It's boring. I did not like it. Like, it was original, plot was original, yes, but how it was done, it was not interesting. And I feel like also the main mystery of it wasn't even a big part of the story, so it kind of felt kind of all over the place, and it was focusing on the bits that I was not interested in, and I in the end I wanted to DNF it quite a few times. Stupidly I didn't, and I should have listened to myself, because I know my own taste. And now I've made the decision, if I'm not enjoying the book, even if it's 30 pages in, if I'm not enjoying it, it has in the past would get better. It's happened in the past that it would get better, but it still goes downhill for me. So when I'm thinking about DNFing a book, it's never been above a 3-star, and a 3-star like barely scraped. This one was just a 2. I wish I didn't read it, to be honest, but I just wanted to. So anyway, these are all of the books that I read or DNF'd in the month of November. Let me know in the comments what was your favourite book of the month of November. For me, I reckon that would be One by One by Freida McFadden, purely because she's one of my favourite authors. But yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye!